Welcome back, Splunk enthusiasts. This video is brought to you by Lame Creations, log analysis made easy, where we help you master the tools and techniques to become a Splunk pro. Welcome to another video by Lame Creations, log analysis made easy. We're going through questions you should know as a system administrator, and today's topic will be troubleshooting the universal forwarder. We're going to talk about how to spot common issues in your Splunk setup and fix them fast. Forwarders not forwarding, we've got you covered with practical techniques every admin needs in their toolkit. Whether you're new to Splunk or a seasoned pro, stick around. This is your crash course becoming a troubleshooting ninja. Let's dive in. First off, why bother with troubleshooting? Because in Splunk, stuff breaks. Logs go missing, searches crawl, or your boss is yelling about downtime. As an admin, you're the first line of defense. We're talking the core components: universal forwarders, heavy forwarders, indexers, search heads. Each can throw a tantrum. Knowing what's normal, what's broken, and how to fix it keeps your data flowing and your users happy. So let's walk through the first component and their usual hiccups and how to smack them down. The universal forwarder. Starting with universal forwarders, your data's little couriers. These guys grab logs from sources and ship them to the indexers. Common issue number one, data's not showing up. Maybe your app server logs are AWOL. Well, the first thing we want to do is check to make sure that Splunk is up. As we go through these, just remember that these are just overall some of the easy ones to hit. It's not going to cover everything you could possibly do on troubleshooting, but we're going to hit some of the three main ones. So we're going to first make sure that our Splunk instance is up and running. From a Linux side, most of the time you're going to actually be doing that from the command line. I'm here. Technically, I am in the, I'm using a Splunk Enterprise here, not a universal forwarder. That's only going to change the path, and I'll point that out on the next instance. But you can use Linux commands such as ps-ef, then grep Splunk, and look to see if there's any Splunk D services running. We definitely have them running. That's a good sign. That means Splunk is running here. We're going to jump over to another instance where I have turned Splunk off, and we're going to do the exact same thing. ps-ef, grep Splunk. We'll notice that there are no processes running. Now that's the command line. You can change, you can search for different things here. We're going to actually show the Splunk built-in command, which is opt Splunk, or in the universal forwarder case, opt Splunk forwarder, or wherever your base Splunk path is, and then it's opt Splunk bin Splunk status. Splunk with a space status. When we run that, it'll tell me Splunk D. Splunk D is the process that you need running for Splunk, and it's not running. We'll clear that. Just take a real quick look at the command again. Opt Splunk bin Splunk status. And if it's not running, you can just hit start. And that will start Splunk up. Whereas over here, we're going to clear this out. This was already running. Status. When we get back, Splunk is running. There's the processes. On a Windows system, what we want to do is go to Task Manager. If I jump into my Task Manager and I look at my running processes, I'm again looking for that Splunk D service. We can look at this Splunk D service. We can see that it may not be using a lot of resources, particularly on the CPU side, but it is definitely running. So that's what you check for on a Windows service. And you can also do, you can stop the service and you can start the service. It's going to be kind of hard to start it if it's not there, but you can stop the service. Just pointing that little trick out there if you don't want to use the command line. I recommend you can go right into PowerShell and do the exact same commands. Don't be afraid of PowerShell. Embrace the shell. All right, next one. So we know that Splunk is up and running. We want to make sure that we're getting the data. Do we have the permissions to read those files? So let's go jump on to our universal forwarder here. We're going to go to, I'm in the Etsy apps directory. I'm going to go look at the local directory here, and we're going to go to inputs.conf. We'll open that, and we're going to see paths. Do I have permissions? Does Splunk have permissions to read this file? That's one of the biggest problems you'll have is can't read the file. So you'll want to just go validate that you actually have permissions to go to the file paths and that the file paths are written correctly, especially when you start using relative paths or even the full path name. You want to check that that actually resolves to the right location. And so here we know that from the directory I'm at, we're going to go back one and find bin and then win time sync status. So I can go back one, go to bin, and there should be win time sync status, and make sure it matches word for word exactly, and then it'll run it, or it'll read the log or whatever. So you want to validate you have permissions to that. One of the things I like to do on the command line side is I'll grab that inputs.conf, copy it, and I'll go right here and and I'll just cd into it. And unfortunately, we can see we did some little copy wrong /bin. And if I was in the right directory, does it go there? And I validate that. And I make sure I go run as the user that Splunk is and things like that. And I validate that I have permissions. So validating permissions is a very important thing to do. The next one, look at the logs. So here, back to your Splunk, if you go to var log Splunk, you can do a listing and you can see all of the logs that Splunk generates for itself. One of the most important ones is this Splunk D log. And we can go actually tell it, tell -f, and anything that Splunk is doing, we should be able to, it'll just continue to let me see the logs. And so I can actually tell it, monitor the log, and watch it as it runs. And if anything pops up that's suspicious, I'm going to want to be looking for things such as connection refused, etc. So here's some more logs coming through. Nothing too scary. Don't see a lot of errors. I mean, I do see some warnings here, but the other one we can do is we can actually just jump into our Splunk instance. Got this command, but I'll duplicate it. One of the things you can do really fast, okay, tab, use your internal logs. The first thing you want to know is maybe your data is not making it to Splunk, but is the universal forwarder communicating with your indexer? And the way you would do that is metadata, index equals internal, type equals host. This will tell me all the machines really quickly that are reporting back. This is my universal forwarder that's in question. It's a Windows box. It can be hard to do a tell on there. There are equivalents, but whatever. For my example here, and so we just come over here, we go and put host equals, and we might go look. One, I already know the fact that I have logs tells me it is communicating. It is making that connection and sending logs here. So that's good. If you weren't getting it, it doesn't show up, then you got another problem, and it's going to be most likely you've got connections firewall issues. The logs are never even, the two machines, your universal forwarding or indexer, aren't even talking. If you have logs here, but the logs that you're monitoring don't show up, it could be other issues, such as the permissions and things like that. The next thing I'm going to do is I can also go here and I can go look for, and I can look for weird things, connection. Are there any logs dealing with connection? There are cook connections, so maybe we want to look at connection refused. And that might tell you why it's attempting. I had no connections refused, but you can start troubleshooting it and you can look through these internal logs. That's our 3 basic tools that we use for universal forwarder troubleshooting. Thanks for tuning in to Lame Creations, log analysis made easy. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out on the latest tips, tools, and tutorials to boost your log analysis skills. Want to take it a step further? Become a member to support the channel and gain exclusive early access to videos and exclusive focused training. Join us on Discord where we dive even deeper, share insights, and tackle questions together. Until next time, from Lame Creations, where we help you go from being a lame analyst to a Splunk ninja.